Evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. Happy Sunday to all of you. Good to see you here. We thought we were going to have a little show, a little bit of a tease, a little bit of possibilities. And no joke, 3 minutes ago, it breaks. Adrian Maddox commits. Not favored to crystal ball, not possibility, not maybe, commits to the Florida Gators. We'll talk all about that, his PFF, what he brings to the team, what the team needs left, right? Then we're going to talk about a big story happening. Obviously, the hiring of a GM has been circling, but it's been clarified kind of what's going to be expected, more roles to be anticipated. I'm very just infatuated, or what's the word? Intrigued by this entire situation. Then we're going to talk about the offensive coordinator thing going around, because I think a lot of people are getting impatient with it, and we need no see. Like I said, it's in shambles. Like people are in complete panic mode about this, and I want to talk about it. Thoughts and opinions. Cody will join us in a little bit to talk a little bit about the pickup from the Georgia Bulldogs, and of course, Jaden Rashada entering the transfer portal from Georgia. So great day. A lot of things to talk about, 200 strong, so be sure, of course, smash the like button, subscribe. Good to see you. We're on the way to 25,000 subs. Every little bit helps. And, of course, show's brought to you by Prize Picks. Like I said, the 6'3" safety, Adrian Maddox from UAB, has committed, not crystal ball, not favored, no, committed to the Florida Gators, and safety/cornerback help is a dire need for the Florida Gators. We've been talking about it all offseason. Points of need, and I love this pickup. If he can be anything to what Triquez Bridges was, I'm here for it. Okay, he played safety, but again, we know how these things roll. We've got obviously Hilton Stubbs and Lagonza Hayward coming in. We've got Castell, Bryce Thornton. Love the safety room. Love the strong nickel and Aaron Gates and Sharif Denson. Bridges kind of stepped into that role, played cornerback on corner. He was very versatile. Again, would love if Adrian can kind of fill into that role. I would also like him to be what Asa Turner was supposed to be, right, in that safety role. So a lot of possibilities here. Possesses that big size. I think he's 220, if I'm not mistaken. That, again, we've talked about, and Cody's made a good point of this, of what Will Harris goes for, right? He goes for those kind of a little bit bigger, thicker safety/cornerback guys versus what I can't think of his name at the very moment, who was at LSU, 6'3", 200. Kind of the longer, stringier guys. Kind of very similar to Cormani McClain. And then, again, Cormani McClain is somebody who we're expecting to have, I would say, a breakout season this coming up year, right? Getting a scholarship, from my understanding, check the scholarship list. He's on that list. So now he's no longer a walk-on. He is a scholarship. We'd love to see a big breakout year from him. He's going into his junior year. Was once a 5-star. Was once the number 1 cornerback coming out of his class. It's your time. It's your time. I know he didn't play much at Colorado. I get that. Didn't play much last year, but you've been studying. You've been waiting. So look, with the talent coming in with him as well, would love to see him step up. So, super chat from Spencer Daniel says, "Let's effing go High Top and go Gators." Absolutely, boys and girls. Feeling pretty good about this pickup. Again, safety, a big point of need. Some may say we need some more wide receivers. I feel pretty good about that. There's some new offensive linemen that have entered into the portal as well. Told you not to panic. One being offensive tackle from Alabama. Stats aren't great, but at least he's a tackle. Now let's take a look at Mr. Maddox here. Take a look at his grades. Now, you can see from these are per game on the top. The bottom is the yearly stats. Yearly stats, phenomenal last year, and even the year before that, very good. Overall defense, 77. Right, in 2024. That takes everything into consideration. In 2023 was 75.7. Now, plays at UAB. Totally understand that. We've been burned before. Joey Slackman being one of those. DJ Douglas being another one. That was somebody who we were really excited about. So, look, the staff has been known to strike. The staff has also missed on a few. Okay, so what I see, I also know that Georgia was heavily in the mix for this young man, and they obviously swung and a miss. Now, could them landing both Branch brothers play a factor into that? Possibly, and we're going to talk about that later on. His tackling, 63.4. Pressure, 76.9. And again, coverage, 83.1. So all in all, love what we see. And then, I kind of like to look at the games because playing at UAB, competition, not great. Arkansas, another SEC caliber team. You see his pressure, 65. Coverage, 57.7. Got a little burned by a little SEC talent. All right. Okay. Navy ran the ball very well. Who runs the ball very well? See no pressure score there. Coverage, 39.7. Navy runs the ball, so who knows how many times it was thrown. But 84.8 on tackling, which you probably had to do a lot of tackling given they run the ball. So take that into consideration. Tulane, 55.8. Rice and Charlotte, where he's made his money with a 91 and a 74. USF, 76.9. And Alcorn State, 70.6. So some of the bigger games, not as high of a coverage score. Tackling seems to be pretty healthy through and through, but I would say that 83.1 probably is a little weighted in the wrong direction, just given, he definitely capitalized on the lesser teams, but still, even against other teams, I would say bolstered a healthy score. Now, with some coaching, some progress under that secondary under Coach Will Harris, maybe in another DC, we'll see how we can do. So, look, Triquez Bridges, he came from Washington. That young man had a lot of talent tucked underneath him. This DJ Douglas was one that kind of was very similar to this. I believe he does have higher grades or boasts higher grades than Gums and Bridges on PFF. So something to keep in mind of that too. But I am very ecstatic for this pickup. And again, something that we needed. Somebody with a ton of experience under their belt, which is huge, especially for that secondary. With as much talent is back there in that cornerback/safety room, we should be able to elevate ourselves in that. And again, I think with the talent that's there, with maybe he may lack from that natural talent, right? That natural 4 or 5 star talent that the guys that we do have back there, just his experience alone back there will be huge. I remember we talked about with Zach, right, 2 years ago with Castell in his freshman year about him and Bryce Thornton just looking at each other going, what's going on, right? A lot of just freshman bodies. We're going into this year with Castell, Gregory Smith going into his second year, Bryce Thornton going into his third year alongside Jordan Castell. Hopefully he can get out of that slump. He had moments, right? Just not a lot of consistency from Castell. So between those 3 guys and now you're adding somebody like this, you got to like the competition in that safety room. And what it'll be able to do is elevate the room as well too. Bridges came from Oregon? I thought it was Washington. Maybe it was Oregon. You're right. It was Oregon. It was out west. Same team. Both teams choke when it matters. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sorry about that. Out west team. It was Asa Turner from Washington. That's why I was like, where am I getting Washington from? So we got some secondary from Washington. I wasn't completely far off on that one. I got a little head cold. Take it easy on me. All right. No need to yell. No need to yell at me. It's early. Now, okay, good stuff there. Smash the like button for Mr. Adrian Maddox. So show him some love on Twitter as well. I don't believe he even has a transfer ranking yet because as a prospect, he wasn't ranked at all. So I don't think he even has one. Been in the portal for almost a month. He was at Temple, then went to UAB. So he's been on the move for a little bit. Mr. Adrian Maddox. Now, I do want to go ahead and let's talk about this staff situation we got going on because it is very interesting. We talked about 4 finalist names the other day. The one name that I said I didn't want seems to be in the lead. It's besides the point. Our man Zach already on the case, as usual. Okay, dialed in, ready to go. I really want to break down this article because there's so many key points to this. And again, I find it very interesting. So, he says they interviewed for 4 candidates in the front office position. Here's what's important, because on whatever day it was, Saturday, I think it was, when we talked about this, we talked about what the GM roles entails. Okay? We talked about the 5 things that it has, whether it's like managing budget, contracts, evaluating talent. And that's where, we're sitting here talking about amongst ourselves, like, hey, who do we think would be best suited for this? Well, based on what the role entails, what we know, here's what I think. I also said, but we don't know if that's what they're asking this person to necessarily do. We got some clarification. Thank you to Zach Alvarez on 3. The candidates for the GM, okay, yeah, so the position they're looking to hire, which will manage the salary cap and negotiate contracts. That's it. That's all we got. Salary cap's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about that too because I mentioned that on Saturday because we've heard about this new rule rolling out, which seems to be going into effect July 25th. This entire article that Zach wrote up, phenomenal, very informative on this entire landscape of where college football is headed. Love this thing through and through. I usually like to read articles verbatim, but this one has so many key points that we've been talking about that this clears up a lot of things that I want to kind of go down the rabbit hole with you guys. The candidates for the GM type role will not have the title general manager. Another very interesting case. And I actually retweeted this guy's tweet and I looked at his thing. I go, man, his title's general manager. Like, what is a general manager of what? Because we're hiring the GM. So Jacob LaFrance is already the general manager. So the 4 candidates that we talked about today apparently will not be carrying that name of GM. I don't know what it's going to be, but that we do know. And again, Jacob LaFrance is technically already the GM. Will he be their boss? I don't know. It's crazy. But they're also expected to hire more. And again, this is supposed to happen this month. So, and there'll be more than one person. The other thing, which we did talk about, is there going to be like basically a VP for football. So kind of like how I mentioned this, and I said this on Saturday, where somebody that just looks over football, right? Like the vice president of football. So you got VP, then you've got Jacob LaFrance, you've got this new person that not named a GM, and then of course all of football under the VP, and that VP reports to Strickland, but at least there's some separation, right? There's a guy that is just strictly in charge of funding, and he controls that entire umbrella, versus right now, which we've complained about, is Strickland. And I said this, I go, look, if we just leave Strickland, I think overall perspective, maybe big idea, big brand, sure, maybe he's, people like what he's done, not everyone has, but let's just take the politics out of this and let's leave it at that, right? But take him away from it and just allow one guy to manage this entire process, because that's how big football is. It needs its own umbrella. We know this, you know this, we've talked about this. So that seems to be another thing that will be happening. Now, here's what's also important, okay? Because, like I just mentioned, in July 1st, 2025, schools will operate under the new projected cap of $20.5 million. So this is what's interesting to me, right? Is we saw a lot of schools this past cycle, Texas Tech, Florida State, a lot of schools go out and spend a lot of money. Interesting, because Ohio State, we know they spent $20 million in NIL alone, right? Basically in the portal. Well, who do they go get for recruiting? So what happens if you're over this projected cap? Is it like in regular football, you just pay a penalty and you keep it moving? Because from my feel, now, first year probably gets overlooked, right? And I even kind of foreshadowed this, I think 2 days ago, where I go, look, we get frustrated because Florida's not buying all these guys, but here it comes in just 6 months. A lot of these schools that we're seeing signing all these checks, Oregon, another one, right? It's going to be irrelevant because they're going to be capped anyways. That's how I'm looking at this. Very interesting stuff. Now, here's another one. They're looking to have an in-house marketing agency, which I love, which is, you think is that Florida Victorious, but again, it seems very separate. It's going to have another department that they're going to be rocking with at UF. Right here. They're looking to employ Gator Nation with the initiative to help navigate what will be a different NIL market once revenue share goes into effect. What I love about the new NIL market, they're right here. So the new in-housing market will be able to facilitate more true endorsement deals for the football players, which was the original intent behind NIL. So this new in-housing market agency / just team dedicated to NIL, which sounds like it's going to be separate from Florida Victorious, because Florida Victorious is big umbrella, right? The entire scope. There's going to be maybe like Florida Victorious 2.0. That's just football related. That's just focused on facilitating big brand deals. One of the big deals that I found out about by reading this is Jake Slaughter reached a Hellman's mayonnaise deal, which will have him in an ad this year. And that's what NIL is always supposed to be. The big guys, the heavy hitters, the ones that have earned bricks, they get to go out there. The Gatorade Player of the Year, they're going to be in the Nike commercials. They're going to be in the Gatorade commercials, the Hellman commercials, right? Because of their brand, because of how great they are. They've been able to establish, like, hey, we throw this cat on a Hellman's mayonnaise bottle in Gainesville, Florida, things gonna sell like hotcakes because we all know Jake Slaughter, versus just promising these high school kids the world on a ridiculous NIL deal that wasn't really. Do you remember the Jaden Rashada deal? Rashada's also moving on to his 10th school, by the way, where there was details that came out, the 13.5 million or whatever it was, and part of the NIL requirement was for him to sign autographs and like take photos and do all these things, right? That was the NIL part. That was a name, image, and likeness part, which was a joke. Because again, when we were pitched the idea of NIL, the whole point of it was like you make money off of your name, image, and likeness, off of how popular you are. So if you go out there and you kick ass, you get to sell cards, jerseys, maybe big brands will reach out to you. Like that was always the initiative of this thing. And obviously it got to the point to where it is right now. Need to reel back a little bit. Need to find a little happy medium. I think we can all agree on that. Whether you like this new concept or not, it's happening. So you're not liking it. Either you just don't watch it anymore. You have to kind of go with the times. I'm all for the times. I just want a healthy balance. I want a healthy balance so we can enjoy the game as is. And the people that have earned the right get the right to do those things. So very interesting things here. Very interesting stuff. We've talked about how busy it's going to be in the month of January with movements on all kinds of things. So we'll see. I haven't read any of your comments, so we'll see. Let's see here. You're arguing about all kinds of stuff. I didn't know if anyone's had any thoughts on what we just went over, but all things, they're talking about the GM. Okay, they're just arguing. Nobody has a clue what's going on. Zach said Gator fans will be happy. Nothing about Kelly will make Gator fans happy. All right. Anyways, so all those things I think are very intriguing things. I like hearing the fact that this $20.5 million cap will be in effect come July 1st. I have more questions because I think this is the way. This is how you clean up what we're calling the Wild Wild West. Now, you can't have it to where it's just a penalty, kind of like in baseball where you just pay a $5 million fine and can continue to oversee the cap. So that'll be interesting to know. I have questions on these. And this is where the NCAA, again, this whole big deal, this is how these guys operate, man. Like, I love kind of learning about big business. Peaky Blinders, I watch that show. It shows you kind of the very old-fashioned way, but it's all of it's rings very true to how that he operates that, right? And the point of it, what I'm getting at is the NCAA is big business. And they saw what was happening, that they were starting to lose control of what they once owned, which is college football. When they were being sued and pushed back and basically had no say in the matter because of this third-party NIL nonsense, and they're like, we are losing the game that we've controlled for the last 20 plus, 40, 50 plus years. We got to figure it out. So they basically swallow the ego pill, agreed on this deal. They're paying back X amount of dollars for whatever reason, but paid millions upon millions. I think there's a B involved with it to get control back of college football. And the salary cap was part of those rules. And so it's back onto them now to manage a salary cap, which we all know in the history of NCAA, them managing stuff and keeping people accountable there is no line. It's whenever they get bored and get frustrated and they just kind of snap. So, we'll see. We'll see. I think here's why again, stay with me, okay? In a perfect world, if the $20 million is, the cap, then what comes next, right? Well, okay, so if everyone's just paying $20 million, like how does somebody separate themselves from everybody else? Well, evaluating talent again, recruiting at an elite level, convincing guys maybe to take a little bit less than what they're projected to be worth to come play with you, right? All those things. And then the other part, which is what we're hearing about now, is that how good is your team? How good is your in-house agency at landing the big dogs, massive NIL opportunities, actually legitimate NIL opportunities? Like, hey, this cat had over 1,000 yards and we landed him boom, 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 boom. Like that, and that's cool. I love that. And that's where Florida is heading of like, I feel like maybe we're behind, but this is a move in the right direction of like, okay, we see this. And it may not be something that we see next year, but maybe 2 years from now, because this rule, even though it's applied in July, I see loopholes already going through this. But that's what's going to be important. That's how you're going, and in a sense, get back to that old-fashioned way of, look, how do you recruit? An NIL agency is very similar, and landing big NIL deals is similar to having, a great gym. Just another selling aspect. It goes back to that way, to like, this place is cool to play at. They're up in their facilities, all those great things, because the money was flat, money was even, and so that kind of brings back again the old feel just a little bit. I don't think we need to go back that way. Now, I've also made the joke that you're going to go back to the bag man, which is possible, which is very possible. But again, we'll see. It's going to be on the NCAA to keep it. Cat is out of the bag. Players will be able to ink deals for cash outside of NIL deals, ? I don't think that's what I read, but if that's what you're reading, I don't know. The only way a cap will ever work is if there's something akin to union that accepts it. Else, Pavia lawsuits forever for limited NIL opportunities. Give us the big news, Shelton. We need it. I don't know what big news you're talking about. We've got a few more minutes here. I'm going to talk about the OC stuff. I'm going to talk about Zachariah Branch, how all that thing played out. Cody's going to hop on here in just a minute, but before we do, let me get this pulled up here. Cody, if you're watching, you want to come hop on in, big guy. Come get after it. Yes, sir. I'm also locking in a bet for tonight's game, by the way, boys. All right, boys. This show is, of course, brought to you by Prize Picks, and we're going to be talking about tonight's game here. But it's playoff time. It's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Pick. And Prize Picks now offers MasterCards for quick and easy deposits in your account this sports season. I think that tonight's game, both teams have Swiss cheese, ability on defense. I think it's going to pop off. Jameson Williams has stolen my heart for me all season long by having him on St. Brown on my fantasy team. Love it. I meant to have it. I already messed up. I wanted him for more on the yards, but I also like him more for, oh man, that might be a bummer. If you can go change this, go for him on more for yards. I got a little carried away. I want him more for yards, not the touchdown. That one's an iffy one with wide receivers. I stay away from that one. JJ, this man has been nothing but a hot sauce in the big time games. Sam Darnold's been cooking. You could probably take both of those quarterbacks for more whatever throwing yards and be comfortable with that too. Then Jamar Gibbs with David Montgomery. This man has been eaten when it comes to touchdowns. Love him to have more than a rushing or a receiving touchdown. Again, Jameson Williams, I like more yards, not the touchdown. So check that one, but feeling pretty good about it, boys and girls. Again, check out Prize Picks. Use the code HIGHTOP. When you use the code HIGHTOP, you get back $50 instantly when you play your first $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Okay? So, Prize Picks, use the code HIGHTOP. Right now, you could, again, back up to 1,000 times your cash. So, rock and roll in there. I like this lineup outside of the Jameson Williams. Change that one and you'll be cooking. Boys and girls, smash the like button. Subscribe. We're on the way to 25,000 subs. We're going to be having old Coaster join us here in just a minute. But I do want to talk about, let's see where he's at. Give him 10. All right. He's driving home in the snow. Now. Let's talk about the offensive coordinator stuff, boys, with Billy Napier. I can't even hop onto the show without the chat going in shambles about this. And I see it on our Discord, and everyone's frustrated. Now, remember we got the call from Zach, and he's like, it's going to make you scream. Myself, you all assumed it's going to be an offensive coordinator. I haven't heard any more about it. I don't know what it is. But that's my thought. I'm in the same boat as you guys. But a lot of you are getting mad because they're like, why haven't we hired one yet? What's going on? We were promised that when the letter came out, that the only way that he was going to be kept was that he agreed to hire an offensive coordinator. I want to make this very clear. From my understanding, there is no actual official document stating that he said that. And the reason I'm bringing this up because I know what's going to happen if he doesn't hire one. Now, you could still be, regardless if that was the circumstances or not, you still may want one. But people are going to be like, we were bamboozled. We were tricked. Where that was coming from was from a message board. From somebody who may or may not be close to the program, that you choose whatever you want. But there's not an official report on that. It kind of is very similar to like when the $26.1 million that was going to be used to spend on recruiting and portal. Like that was a Pete Nelko story that he assumed based on the money that was put into a buyout account. Like it's very finicky. I'm not telling you this because I heard, I haven't heard anything. But I am tired of like seeing, why haven't we done anything? Which we'll talk about in just a minute. But nothing was ever stated officially, like per blank. Boom. If you have an article, I'd love to read it. From my understanding, all it was message boards conversations. If you have an article, drop it in the link description. Okay. Again, I know what's going to happen now. He's not hiring one. Sean knows. I don't know a damn thing. I don't know a damn thing. I think we still maybe hire one. I genuinely do. Here's the other part of it. Okay. We've talked about these 5 coaches that are up for grabs. Their contracts don't expire till the 31st of January. Okay. So I don't necessarily think, especially with Rob Sale obtaining an offensive coordinator title, you got to figure those things out first. That'd be my thought process. Okay. Also, if it's a name that's going to make me scream, we've talked about this too. Could be a team that's still playing. Could be a team that just got finished. Right? So I think it's a little too early to panic. Personally. I'm not saying we don't need one. I'm just trying to kind of set the tone here of like, we're calling for and again, you still may want one regardless if there was an article or not. I don't disagree with you. I hear you. We've talked, but I've said this too. I said, look, I think he needs to find a guy that's willing to work with him and call these plays. Got a lot on his plate. Now, with these hiring of these 5 people, does it make take some of his plate? For sure. But we've seen it. Very, very, very likely he doesn't give it away. I don't know. Another thing you got to think of, you land Dallas Wilson, you land Sturdivant, DJ stays, the running back core is still there, these old linemen come back. We may be frustrated with how the offense is being ran. Yet, a lot of big-time guys, Dallas Wilson, Sturdivant, Jonte Cook was very interested, obviously. Could be more on the way. They're interested in this offense. They're interested in playing with DJ Lagway. We saw what the offense looked like, kind of sort of with DJ Lagway. My thing is that either these guys have heard, hey, we're also going to be working on doing this, help sell it, or they like what they see. Whether you agree with it or not, they like what they see. And some of you are going to say, well, it's just DJ Lagway. That's the only reason they care. And even when I do that and mock that, you'll still be in the comments saying, this guy doesn't know anything. It's just DJ Lagway. And that could be it. It could be that kid's just that damn good that he just attracts everybody. My point of it is like maybe there is more to this, and we just, when I see people chomping at the bits to come play for us on the offensive side of the ball, the O-line kind of all sticks together. Like, yeah, we want to come back and run this thing back. We like what we're seeing. We like where it's headed. That's promising to me in the right direction. So, we'll see. Again, I don't have all the answers, okay? I'm talking through it. Trying to set us up for what's reality here. But I think the big thing is these contracts that expire in 20 plus days, you got to think those are a factor into this. I believe if out of the 5, we sign all 5, then yeah, I'd probably be wondering, okay, maybe we don't get an OC. Now, if we sign all 5, there's a confirmation on Rob Roberts staying and being promoted to DC. You still got to feel confident because there's still that extra $1 million that Austin Armstrong didn't sign, right? There's an extra milli just lying around for a primed up offensive coordinator. Let's say, because I mean, the other guys like Luke and these guys don't affect, but if Rob Sale doesn't come back, now you've got 2 massive positions that are opened up. One that held the OC position, technically. Then you got to feel I would say you got to feel really confident. Allow that to work. Now, I know where people were kind of panicking because I think we talked with Cam. And again, he even said this when we had him on the show. He goes, look, no interviews or anything are going to happen until these contracts are either come to an end or get re-signed. Because they're not going to do interviews right now that they know about anyways and jeopardize the negotiations that are happening currently. So, a lot of moving pieces here. So many moving pieces that, we don't always have the answers to. But we're hearing, obviously, the GM stuff, and those things seem to be a priority. And I wonder how much of a factor those guys will have in this decision. I don't know, because now with this new article and how with what's being said of who controls what, we really don't know. We really don't have a good grasp on it personally. So it's gonna be a fun couple of weeks. That part I do know. It always is. It's always fun to talk about. We had a great conversation on Saturday. A lot of great comments. Again, I try to learn it and try to. Somebody kind of made a good comment, say, hey, this show's fun because like you got to be a football junkie to enjoy this because we just talk about it so damn much. I mean, at this point, you just got to love just the process. So let's get old Cody in here. Oh, there you go. Hey, you can't go wrong with double Sheltons. You know what I'm saying? Big time stuff here with Zachariah Branch and Zion Branch. Zion Branch, I believe he's a safety. Both have committed to Georgia. And you got to wonder if that Zion Branch commitment had any impact on Adrian Maddox committing to us, given he plays safety too. Yeah, safety. Zachariah Branch, man, that young man, he's a beast. He's an absolute beast. Zachariah Branch, they went and visited Miami this past week, and they were making some moves. I heard Texas kind of making a late move. Georgia obviously was their first option for them, and ultimately they do land Georgia. Now, I think it's an interesting pickup. I know when we had Uncle Lou on the show, and he talked about kind of where Georgia has been really trying to, again, you saw them throw the ball much more this past season with Carson Beck, really trying to amplify their recruiting for top-tier wide receivers. It kind of has been very mid. This, to me, is a good grab. Zachariah Branch cooked at USC. So it wasn't like he was lacking production, probably wanted to go play, in a more competitive world. I mean, very similar probably what Trevor, the same reason why Trevor left. Right, that was kind of probably their same mindset with the brothers there. Great pick. I think Zach is very talented. He's so fun to watch. I'm very peculiar with some of these guys because I got a guy who's a USC fan, so I watch USC to kind of poke fun at him. And when you watch those games and see Zachariah Branch on the football field, incredible stuff. Malachi Nelson's another one that I thought was really, really good, who obviously committed to USC. Then he went to Boise State, and now he's at UTSA or UTEP. He just committed to. Crazy fall off there for Malachi. That's wild for me to see. But Cody, big time get here for the Dogs. Also today, the Dogs but Jaden Rashada has entered into the portal. Now their quarterback room going into next year. Very young now. Very young with Ryan Puglisi, Ryan Montgomery, and of course, the man leading the charge and Gunnar Stockton, because Beck is on the way out.
Yeah, I think Gunnar can be the guy too. He didn't play terrible in that playoff game. I think that he didn't really do anything wrong. He didn't look any worse than what Beck has looked this year.
True.
Right? So I think that the couple bunch here, they did need some safety depth and they did need some wide receiver. Drops have been a problem with Georgia, and it's not that they don't get talent. They've missed. They've had injury bugs. For some reason they cannot figure out that talent room in the quarterback position and the wide receiver room. And I think that Zach can definitely bring bring another element to their offense that they don't have. I know they got Arian Smith, and he's kind of a gadget guy, but Zachariah can run all the route tree.
Yeah, Muddy, and Muddy, I agree with most of the time, but he's saying I see guys kind of say these guys are mid, and I know just a week ago people were being pumped. If Florida land is Zachariah, we've been fired up. I think the kid's an absolute stud.
Mhm.
I think that offense. I don't know what's happened with that USC offense, but with Caleb Williams, he was a freak to watch, and obviously they struggle with Miller Moss, the guy that came in after him. He had a pretty decent game against that Texas A&M in that bowl game, but Miller Moss had a great bowl game last year too. So I don't know what's going on with USC, but Branch is a legit talent. But I wonder, again, going into this offense, I am concerned. I'm not concerned. I enjoy it as a Gator, right? Watching this Georgia team kind of, struggle with that identity. Again, they still rock and roll on defense, but offensively, there's a lot of question marks there. I think running back. I mean, they're okay with Nate Frazier and in the bunch. It'll be interesting to see what Trevor does. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they got another freshman cat that's really good too. They got a couple of them, and so it's you know what Georgia's going to be. Georgia's going to be what they were this year, probably for the next couple of years until they hit on a truly stud quarterback, like a guy that can take them to a next level. They're going to be a top to 8, 9, 10 win SEC team. That's what they're going to be. They're going to be beatable though. The years of Georgia just being unbeatable that we felt as Florida fans and a lot of SEC teams felt like, minus Alabama, they are going to be beatable any given Saturday. So the juggernaut is over. I do believe that. Just like Bama, I think the Bama juggernaut is over. And I think it's going to be easier to win the SEC in the next coming years without having those two guys at the top. It's going to be you're going to see a couple more teams in contention.
it seems like Ohio State seems to be the new juggernaut. We'll see how they bold with the new salary cap situation we were just talking about before you hopped on. But yeah, look, I mean, again, defensively they never had any issues, but I've kind of always said it. I even said it with our Georgia guy when he came on the show. I said, look, you're kind of looking like before and after Stetson, right? We'll call it BS before Stetson and AS after. There's a lot of question marks on just quarterback development and where they can go from here. So look, I think Stockton, I think he'll grow and he could be something, but he didn't. I mean, he looked absolutely shook, and I mean he was thrown to the wolves. Don't get it twisted, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure he can sling the rock, but you need an identity, you
I
need a leader, you need control back there. I don't know if he has that yet.
I don't really think he looked all that different than what Carson Beck looked
Yeah,
either, and that's the wild thing. That's the wild thing, is you're supposedly got a proven guy. Carson Beck at the beginning of the year was supposed to take the next step, and he was supposed to be in the first round of the NFL draft. I think he's like a day 5 or 6 guy now by what he's put on the field.
Beck.
Yeah, he's like a 4th or 5th round guy now.
I think he's farther than that. I mean, maybe not, just because of his size, and I think teams will jump on him. Him being hurt may or may not help him. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and Ryan Montgomery can come over and really take the reins if he is that guy that what they think he is. And there's 5-star quarterbacks every year, but listen, to have a run like what Georgia had and a run like what Bama had, it seems like it's almost getting harder and harder to get. These kids just plopping right in. It was funny, like Alabama, they lose a player and they're like, oh, we'll just shove another 5-star in there and he'll take, like Tua, for instance, right? Nobody knew Tua's name and they plopped him in there and he lit it up. So it's like it's one of those things. I think those days are kind of gone.
For sure, it's definitely closing out. I was thinking about that the other day because when Tua was popped in, a lot of people, that's a good example. But the situation he was kind of brought into. I mean, the guy was a kind of a baller, and he was thrown into one game. It wasn't like this pressure buildup. You know what I mean? Before the game, it was just in the moment, go do your thing, kid, and go ball out. There's no pressure, just go sling the rock, and was able to capitalize on a big moment. And when you build a good team, you're able to throw talent into that, and it succeed. But I said I don't think we'll see an undefeated team win it all again. Just given the playoffs in Now there is no undefeated team left. Oregon will be in the last one for this year. And shoot, Penn State has 2 losses. Notre Dame only has 1. Texas has 2. And Ohio State has
Mhm.
2. So
Yep.
I saw one guy from the On 3. He's part of Bud Elliott's thing. Go figure. Bitching about this playoff, like upset that none of
All of
your
it.
conference champions were in the Final Four because of the.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
like, it was a really weird
Ri
like scenario. Like he was upset that how the playoffs unfolded, and I was like, that's exactly why you have it the way that it is. Like it happens all the time in all sports. Like I don't like. It was just, people just yell at the mic and they just got. I mean, myself included, but I'm like, that is just an egregious take.
I'm gonna say this. There's nobody in college football that can beat Ohio State on those 2 days that they have played in the playoffs, Tennessee and then
No.
Oregon. Nobody. There's
And I
nobody.
think I think
I
if they
mean,
don't
minus
lose to
Jesus,
Michigan,
minus
if they don't lose to Michigan, they're in the Big Ten championship, and they probably skull drag Oregon.
yeah, minus Jesus and the disciples coming down and lining it up against them. I mean, there's nobody. I mean, if they peak like what they're peaking now, there's nobody in college football that can touch them. I
I,
don't care what anybody says.
I don't remember where I think I said on here if I was just talking in general, but I was like, if they end up just kind of coasting these next 2 games, we always argue like, hey, let's put a bracket together. The '08 Florida, the '18 LSU team, you know what I mean? Like who
Yeah,
was the best
yeah.
championship team? And those teams were all 1 loss or undefeated and conference champions. This Ohio State
This
team's
team's
not going to
scary.
be this Ohio State team isn't going to be either. But I mean, you could kind of Will Howard,
Just
to me, Will Howard's the question mark. Will Howard is the only part of this team, which all those other teams had iconic quarterbacks, right? Joey
mhm.
Burrow, Tim Tebow. What's another one of those teams that we refer back to?
Um,
Any one of those Alabama teams, but that was just very run heavy. But I think Adrian
yeah,
McCarron was on one of them. It had Derrick Henry, right, which is obviously a Heisman winning running back. I know that that 2001 Miami team was on there. Who's another? I'm trying to think. Oh, that Auburn team with Cam Newton. You get the point,
yeah.
though, right? I mean, all of them have iconic
Georgia
quarterback.
team
Who's?
Georgia team didn't have an iconic quarterback, but they had a defense that plays like that's what this defense of Ohio State's playing like. It plays like when Georgia was on that run. You know what I mean? Where opponents would just come in and you were just like, listen,
Suffocated.
these cats are on a different level. They're all first round picks. And they did. They all went in the first round. Like they had like 2 back-to-back years with like I think they had like 10 players drafted and 2 years on the defense and like 5 first round picks. You remember that run of Carter and them?
Yeah.
Like that's what this Ohio State defense looks like. They make everybody
They
else
got
look
a
like
lot of
they're
pieces, a lot of
Pop Warner.
stars. Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
on offense, too, I mean, there's talent. I mean, Jeremiah Smith is just, it's I mean, the wide
If we
receivers
could
they
have only
put in.
got that guy. How many games does Florida win with Jeremiah Smith this year?
It's tough because the games we lost, the Georgia game, I don't think I don't think Aiden Warner was getting to Jeremiah Smith. The Tennessee game, I could see us that could have been pulled. You could have probably pulled that one off. I think having another weapon, maybe the game, we probably could have pulled away from the game because you had somebody like that too early in the season itself. But
A&M.
we lost so bad to Miami and A&M. It's hard for me to say because we just kind of
Yeah,
got
but
dog walked.
when you
on
got
those.
a cat that can put up 21 points by
Yeah,
himself,
but
and that suffocate that just takes the air out of the stadium.
it can. I think we would have just won one more game. I think the Tennessee game we would have won, given how the other ones went. That's all. If the other games would have went like Tennessee, then I could say, yeah, he would have been a difference maker. The other 2 games were just so far out. The A&M and Miami game, it's hard for me to say one guy would have made that big of a difference. Just because we couldn't stop defensively, there was a problem. We couldn't stop anything.
Yeah.
So Jeremiah Smith could have scored all he wanted. I think Miami and Texas A&M could also have scored at their will. So no, he wasn't fixing that game. In Texas, we were also down. We were at the Aiden Warner show, so I don't know if Yale was going to be slinging it to him either. So
Hey, maybe.
that's how we got on that. How you feel about tonight's game, big guy? I know you got your big matchup against the old lines. I got to keep it buck with you. I know I told you, where they sit. Bengals are out now. It's official. So they've moved up in my team to cheer for in the NFL playoffs. I did, however, given the circumstances, I'm in the hole. I put 50 bones on the Lions. I'm sorry, but I felt like I had to be honest with you while I'm sitting here looking you in the face.
I'm gonna say this. It's probably going to go to a field goal. I think these teams are extremely tight. They have weapons all over the field, but the defenses are suffocating.
We
I
talked about it
think
last
this
night.
thing's gonna,
They're the same.
yeah,
They're the same team, bro.
they're the same team.
They're
They're the
identical.
same freaking team. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 quarterbacks nobody really believed in that were high draft picks.
Great running back core.
Great
Ridiculous
running back.
talent on the wide receiver. Lions,
And
if they have
and
Aiden
tight end.
Hutchinson, they've lost a little bit of edge there on that defense. I think both teams are very sus on defense. Like I could call them the Swiss cheese of D because I just feel like watch tonight be like a 10-7 football game just because.
Yeah. Brian Flores will let you get up and down the field, but usually you're not going to score with Buffalo's defense. And some of the scoring on their games, if you don't watch the games, it's a lot of garbage time scoring. So we'll see. Yeah,
I've fallen. I have fallen. The Almighty has fallen on our ESPN Pickhams. I'm 27-14. Wow, I really kind of went through a little bit of a ringer there, boys, huh?
that's still good though. That's making big time money.
I was 16-1.
All great ends run.
Yeah, went down a slippery slope there. Oh, I picked Alabama. Oh, I picked Washington. They lost by 1. I picked my Cox to beat Illinois. They lost. Oh, I didn't pick. Oh my goodness, I didn't pick any of the last games. I didn't pick Ohio State, Oregon, Texas. I didn't pick those games because I forgot.
You can still pick them.
Well, they're past now.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I just put in the 2 ones. That's a bummer on my fault. Who do you like though? Who do you like for the Final Four matchup, big guy?
Oh, I got Ohio State winning the whole thing.
Who do you got them playing though? I feel like with Notre Dame and Penn State are twins.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think they're very similar. People are very high on Drew Allard, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be.
They're kind of one-dimensional.
I'm not sold on Ryan Leonard though.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. Penn State's defense is pretty good. It's kind of funny because Notre Dame's is real good, but they got 2 NFL backs, both of them. They got a set of NFL backs.
They're built the same. They're built the same way. It's going to come down to quarterback play. Does Ryan Leonard step up or does Drew Allard? I think that's where I think the edge is. Yeah, I think both of them are. Yeah, I think that's where the edge is for Penn State. Marcus Freeman, we haven't really seen him, and to be honest, I mean, this is the big games he's done well, and I think taking down Georgia was a big one. I think being able to get over that hump is going to be huge going into this game.
I think that Notre Dame secondary can crack the cheat code of that big tight end that Penn State has, though. I think they can lock him up. And if they can lock him up, there's nobody else catching balls for Penn State. They run the ball and feed it to the tight end.
Yeah, the white guy, right?
Yeah, the big white guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Notre Dame's to lose, to be honest with you. I think Marcus Freeman's a hell of a football coach. I'm not a big fan of James Franklin. Yeah, and Ohio State, I look, it'll be fun to see what Texas. I think there's the noise, obviously, and even Holly just said it. What's up, Holly? Just set up kind of out with, if Ohio State play like they did the last 2 weeks, nobody can catch them. And this is the team that we've been talking about all season long. And in a weird way, we've seen this before. When you got a team that Texas is going to get shitted on. And all the news that's surrounding Texas right now is the Quinn Ewers situation about being extremely tampered. And if he's being tampered this hard and being talked to and being, swayed to go elsewhere, how much of a distraction is that to him? I don't know. And if you're Sark, then there's articles about Sark being targeted to be an NFL coach. A lot of interesting stuff happening there. Yeah, I mean, Marcus Freeman was another name too that was being poked at as well. So Patriots need a new coach. That was crazy to see. I know we're not really talking NFL, but that one really kind of threw me for a ringer because I remember when he got hired, it seemed like it was like he was promised, Jared Mayo was promised to be passed down from Bill Belichick. It was the hierarchy being handed over to him, and they gave my man a year with a rookie quarterback in Drake May, and just it's not gonna work. Like
that's not a quarterback I liked either.
Bo Nix was somebody that I think we both liked.
We liked Bo Nix. Hey, I sent you the proof.
He's going to a playoff.
I sent you the proof.
He's going to a playoff.
Mrs. Swamp Donkey is recovering out of the hospital after her appendix
Holy
erupted.
crap! Well, prayers for Swamp Donkey. That's
Yeah,
like one of my big fears, bro. Like random just appendix busting. Like those shit scares the hell out of me, dude.
that happened to my boy.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like you walking around,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, my stomach hurts, and then he's like, yeah, you're shit busted. You gotta go.
he called me and he's like, "I think I'm dying." I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably just hungover." And he's like, "No, there's something wrong with me." We brought him to the hospital and they're
Why'd he
like,
call
"Yeah, his
you?
appendix is about to explode." I'm fucking reliable, bub.
Okay, I mean, like, that's true. That's true. Notre Dame offense is too hot and cold. I think Penn State is too, though.
I
I
know,
guess
but I
that's
don't.
too cold. I guess
I
it's
think
been
they're
even when in their losses has been pretty consistent. But when they lost to Ohio State. They didn't do much.
Yeah, but if they keep ticking like they have been, if they are playing games like the Tennessee and
No,
the
Penn State. Still on Penn State.
Oregon,
If Penn
Penn
State
State,
plays like
yeah,
they've played the last 2 weeks too, yes, I believe they do. Kurt, I don't know though, because Notre Dame's look good. Notre
it's
Dame's
gonna
look
be good
good.
games.
Yeah, it's
It's
gonna
gonna
be.
be
I
good
think this is
games.
gonna be the best round of games. I think the only thing they did wrong, people are gonna be all pissed about. Like, I think the teams that got in should have got in. The whole argument. I saw a clip from Cam Newton saying, like how Alabama should have got in over Penn State or something like that. And I don't look. I love my SEC, but I'm not oblivious to this. I think the teams that got in, it was the perfect 12 teams that got in. Personally, I think the only thing they got wrong was the seeding. I think giving Boise and Arizona State an automatic bye was your only issue. You honestly, you should have given one of those spots to Notre Dame, and you give another one to either Texas or whoever you want. I don't give it to. I don't care who you give it to. Figure it out. Use the computer and leave Boise State and Arizona State in that first round. The next 2 rounds are perfect. They're perfect.
Yeah, I would have been okay if Boise. Obviously, they have to make it, but I almost wish Group of 5 would just peel off and have their own tournament.
Look, I think I agree with what you're saying, and they never were. I mean, they never really had a chance in that game. Like they needed the ball to bounce perfectly their way. Like there was a moment where it was kind of close, but we all you watch a game, you can feel it. Like there's never a chance. Out Arizona State legitimately like you're like holy shit, there's a chance here. You're like there's no way this happens, right? Because Arizona State was like literally like on the tank was on E, and Texas kind of like screwed around. I was like shit, we got to lock it in. But now you flirted too much. You could f up mess. You can mess up and mess around and f up. The Penn State never did that with Boise State. So, look, I don't mind them being in it either, but I think put them in the first round. Those teams will get better. They'll get bigger. And I saw that the coach from Boise State even say, we're having a hard time keeping everybody because of this new NIL situation. So I think those teams will slowly start to get peeled off anyways. We're seeing it now.
Yeah, I would have been okay with another SEC team or something hopping in there instead of Boise, but it is what it is. Because golly, dogs.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. Of like, and I think Ole Miss over Alabama, or I don't know if another Big Ten team should have made it, but it does feel very Make a Wish of like just giving, one of those schools an automatic bid when they haven't really played anybody. So it's tough because again they play the schedule that they're in. They win. They were undefeated, right? No, they lost one game. The one game to Oregon, which was a very, very well fought game, mind you.
Yeah,
but
yeah, but when you're not playing the competition, like okay, let's say this: Boise State, Ohio State had to play each other the first round. I mean, that's not even. It's not even close.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that Boise State plays where it's close unless they would have played Arizona State, but that would have never happened.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm okay with the Group of 5 to peel off and have their own tournament, but that's talk for another day.
Yeah, you're just being a hater. All right, boys. Well, look, good show. 600 strong here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. We talked about a lot of different things, a lot of moving pieces here. Over the next couple of weeks that we'll be monitoring and keeping our eyes and peers. But hey, I don't know if you saw we got a commit.
I did see that.
Yeah.
6'3" safety. Good. We need him.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll have a film breakdown on the High Top Sports recruiting page.
Yes, I will. For sure.
6'3", 200. He's your I gave you a shout out. He's your guy. He's a stud, big, thick safety.
That's how I like him built.
I need the breakdown. PFF scores look good, but you and I we've almost got a divorce over PFF, so I won't bring those scores up. So we'll leave it to you to break it.
I'll do a breakdown.
First thing tomorrow morning. I heard it's going to come out. Yeah.
I can drop that tomorrow morning.
You got a game to go watch. Get out of here. I'm gonna shut it down.
All right. Later,
Go-
guys.
go Lions,
Real
boys.
fast. Scotty 020. Dad is getting an OC. His name is Nilly Bapier, and you will like it.
Unbelievable. Boys and girls, y'all be good. Have yourself a happy Sunday. Be sure again to smash the like button. Subscribe. We love you. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below on all things we talked about today. A lot of moving pieces happening in this college football world. It's fun to talk about. We will continue to talk about it because it is, in fact, talking season. Y'all be good. Sleep tight. Tomorrow's Monday. We'll get through this. We'll get through this off season together. Hand in hand, arm in arm, stride in stride. I love y'all. Y'all be good. Peace and love, baby.